Hello and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 117. I'm recording on October 23rd, 2025, and I just finished watching the movie One Foot in Heaven. This one was thankfully available for free on YouTube. So now my average is down to 418 for this round. This one will probably be pretty quick. It has not been often in this endeavor that I've hated movies. But this one I hated. I'll start out by saying I gave it 1 star. It's not the first 1 star I've given. The last one I gave was way back in the 1935 Oscars for A Midsummer Night's Dream. What else? Cavalcade, which was the Best Picture winner in 1932, 1933. I think those might be the only three. Yep, only three that I've given a 1 star to. One Foot in Heaven is a 1941 American biographical drama film. Did not know it was a biographical film. Directed by Irving Rapper and starring Frederick March, Martha Scott, Beulah Bondi, Gene Lockhart, and Elizabeth Fraser. Film was adapted by Casey Robinson from the autobiography by Hartzell Spence. It was produced and distributed by Warner Brothers. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, and it was its only nomination. Cinematography by Charles Rocher, edited by Warren Lowe, music by Max Steiner. He's a name we've seen a lot. Released October 2nd, 1941, with a runtime of 108 minutes. Let's see a few notes. Olivia de Havilland was originally scheduled for the role of Hope Spence, but was moved over to star opposite Errol Flynn, and they died with their boots on. Raymond Massey was Hartzell Spence's choice to play his father, while his mother preferred Frederick March. Oh, okay, so I guess the biography was of the son. The studio's decision to cast March was made independently of the family's wishes. The film, which Spence goes to see with Hartzell, is William S. Hart's 1917 Western The Silent Man. At the Hollywood premiere of the film, Hart was a guest of honor. The book on which the movie is based takes place and ends well before 1939. However, the use of Methodist Church in the film is an impossibility because Methodist faith in America did not unify under the name Methodist Church until after the terms of reunification of the Methodist Episcopal Church. The Methodist Episcopal Church South and the Methodist Protestant Church were agreed upon and voted upon in Kansas City in 1939. The film was received quite warmly, both theatrically and critically, the New York Times calling it a fine and human story of a minister's life. Not in my house, it wasn't received warmly. In 1904, William Spence, played by Frederick March, he's been in several movies that I've watched. I think he was in Les Mis. He played Jean Valjean. He was very good in that. A medical student on the verge of becoming a doctor receives the call while passing a Methodist church one Sunday. His bride-to-be, Hope Morris, accepts his decision to enter the ministry with a whole heart despite the disappointment of her prominent and affluent parents. Will dives right in, but with no vacancies in Canada, is posted as a circuit minister to a small town in rural Iowa, beginning a life for them of frequent moves around the district, dingy parsonages, and scraping a living from poor boxes and performing weddings. Hope yearns for a decent parsonage and a sense of permanence for their children, but uncomplainingly provides them a good life and a supportive home for Will. So here's the problem I have with this movie. I am not a church goer or believer, religion believer. This was super preachy and super churchy. And the preacher was an asshole. Excuse the French. Canadian. He was just a jerk. And but he was just like, at one point towards the end, he was trying to get the church that he was in, like the parsonage that they lived in had 22 holes in the ceiling. It was leaking. And meanwhile, one of the benefactors of the church was living in this rich house, and, she was very wealthy, and he was complaining about it. And he was basically like extorting the parishioners into getting a new church, like telling them he wasn't going to do certain things, or when they quit the church, he was like, good riddance. And one of the women, he said, if I wasn't a preacher, I would kill you. I was just not, Again, not all these movies have to be for me. This one was definitely not. But this also was not a good movie. It just wasn't. And just because a movie's 80 years old doesn't mean it's good. There's plenty of shitty movies that are made throughout the history of Hollywood, and this is one of them. So, and my opinion, obviously, but I will argue anyone that wants to about it. Now, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of these movies is you can tell the ones that are popular or that stood the test of time because they've been remastered or re-released or whatever. This one kind of looked shitty when I started. It was on YouTube, and it could just be like a transfer. It was from Turner Classic Movies, I think, but it didn't look great. So, this isn't one that people are clamoring for a 75th anniversary DVD of. So, it doesn't get that treatment. But let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah, here you go. I'm just going to read you the plot that they have, or continue the plot. For his part, Will understands his own nature and laughs at his own foibles, bending where he can in good conscience. He often enters situations in anger or to instruct, but leaves humbled and renewed in spirit, while Will sincerely lives by and teaches by example, which includes his family. The tenets of the Methodist discipline he also learns from his congregations to be flexible and change with the times. When their third child, a boy, is born, Hope and Will cannot agree on a name, and he remains unbaptized for 3 months. Hope wants to name the baby William Spence Jr., but Will does not like the idea of his son going without a middle name as he did, and he said Jr. made him weak or something like that. He wants the boy to have and be called the good old Canadian custom by the middle name of Fraser. Will seems to give in to Hope, but the following Sunday baptizes him William Fraser Spence. Hope serenely accepts the change. Yeah, he just goes against his wife's wishes all the time, whatever. It's 1930s or 1900s. Oldest son Hartzell, named for Will's guiding bishop, has a hard time coping with the idea that a minister's son should be an example to the other boys. Will explains that a pastor's family walks a tightrope, balancing with 1 foot on earth and 1 foot already in heaven. Title. After learning that Hartzell has been sneaking into the movies, a pastime seemingly forbidden by the discipline, Will takes him to the theater to point out why the film is bad for him. They see a Western, but rather than finding it sinful, Will is impressed by its moral. The following Sunday, preaches a sermon advising his congregation that young people may have something to teach their elders. In the 1920s, the family is assigned to a church in Denver, Colorado that, despite having many well-heeled members, is old, uncomfortable, and decrepit. In a time of economic prosperity for the country, the Spences cope with possibly their most dilapidated parsonage yet. Will has come to appreciate his wife's serenity with life and resolves to provide her a decent parsonage by building a new church. His plans at first are thwarted by power struggles among several snobbish members of the church. He loses one wealthy patron to the Baptists when he refuses to stop ministering to her chauffeur, and another influential banker, Preston Thurston, after organizing a children's choir to replace the off-key church choir, run for years by Mrs. Thurston, her family and social circle. Soon after, Hartzell is expelled from school because of a gossip campaign falsely accusing him of making a young girl pregnant and forcing her family to move to San Francisco. Oh, I did not get that they said she was pregnant. A deeply discouraged Will investigates a job offer in California that offers the beautiful church and parsonage he and Hope have always dreamed of, but discovers that he cannot surrender in his struggles with the Thurstons. He seeks out the girl's family and learns that there is no truth to any part of the rumor. Their family moved because of the father's job. Returning to Denver, Will confronts Mrs. Thurston and her circle, who started the rumors to punish Will. That's the woman he says he would kill if he wasn't a preacher. And suggests that if they don't contribute substantially to the building of the new church, he will call them out in his sermons. He extorts them. A repentant Mrs. Sandow, who was the one that went to the Baptist church, begs to return to the church, and Will inveigles from her the stained glass window, new Skinner organ, and carillon that as luxuries are being cut from the plans to finance a recreation center for the church. A year later, their dream church and parsonage finished. Will accepts the challenge of returning to Iowa to aid a small church in trouble, confident that he leaves behind a revitalized church when its members, including all those with whom he locked horns, gather spontaneously on a weekday morning to sing the church's one foundation as he plays it on the new carillon. So he just, as I explained, he just extorts the parishioners to get him the things he wants for his new church. It's just, again, I'm not religious. I don't believe in churches, but I do understand how churches work or how they are supposed to work. And I also understand that this is kind of how churches work, but it did not sit well with me, and this movie sucked. And I haven't really been that harsh with any of these movies, but I really hated this movie. So this went on longer than I expected, and I'm going to end it now. See you next time.